They got to be one of the dumbest teams that I've ever seen.
Looked like straight trash. Sanitation workers wouldn't have wanted to show up.
You look awful. He ain't got this.
It is at that point in the NFL offseason where everybody is getting way too confident in their favorite NFL team, and in today's video I will tell you just why the Cowboys suck.
Oh my god, no, don't tell me everything. What? No!
Before I get in too deep, I would like to preface this by saying, yes, this is just all the negative points about the Cowboys, and no, I will not be talking about any of the positive points. It's just too much positivity in this world. The first problem with the Cowboys is something that's not impacting them directly on the field, but that is just overall roster mismanagement by Jerry Jones and the front office.
We're all in with these young guys coming on.
More specifically, what I'm talking about is CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Micah Parsons not having big deals signed. They are just making it even more expensive for themselves by the day. Just a few days ago, Justin Jefferson just got signed for $35 million per year, and I can almost guarantee you CeeDee Lamb is going to want more than that. And on top of that, Micah Parsons will also want to be the highest paid non-quarterback. So that's $35 million plus for those two players, and then Dak Prescott will most likely want to be the highest paid quarterback per year, which puts him at about $56 million. And the Cowboys just keep on delaying, and I don't know why. And you may think, oh, it's because they're spending a lot of money in free agency, but actually the Cowboys have been completely silent and have done almost nothing in free agency.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
But now directly on the field. So the biggest hole on the Cowboys roster has to be running back. Yes, I know it's 2024, it's not 1992. Running back doesn't matter all that much, but it is still a very important position on the field. If your team can't run the ball, you're one-dimensional and the defense has you right where they want you. You may be thinking to yourself, oh, the Cowboys have always had a pretty decent running game. Who's the running back this year? And Tony Pollard actually left. They didn't want him, he left in free agency. Now, he didn't have that great of a year last year. So did they draft an exciting rookie in maybe the third round, or did they sign someone off another team? Well, they did sign someone, but it's Ezekiel Elliott. So I don't know how much that counts for. While he did look okay on the Patriots, he is about 85 years old, and I think they have one of the worst running back backfields in the NFL. Here, I'll read them out for you. They have Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, who's okay, Deuce Vaughn, who's fun, but, not great, and then Royce Freeman, who's ancient.
I never heard of half of these guys, and the ones I do know are way past their prime.
That, to me, is the worst running back backfield in the NFL, so that has to be their worst position. Their second weakness is just the opposite side of the field. That is their run defense. So while last year the Cowboys had a very good defense, their weakness was definitely the running game. It killed them in the playoffs. That's how the Packers murdered them, was by utilizing the run game to open up everything else. So, have they done anything to really fix this? And the answer is no. They still have very weak defensive tackles, which I think was the biggest problem. And it's actually gotten worse. So they do have their rookie defensive tackle who they drafted the year before, but he was bad last year. So they're going to really need him to step up. But they lost Jonathan Hankins, who was their best defensive tackle in my opinion.
I apologize for that. That's the best we can do. That's a sad problem.
So that can mean that their running defense is getting from bad to worse. And yes, their ranking actually wasn't that bad. They were about middle of the pack-ish in running defense. And that is because their offense was so good, it would put them in big leads. And then, of course, the other team couldn't run the ball. But when given the opportunity, it was a definite weakness for the team. And while I'm already talking about the weakness of the defensive tackles and the run game, they have another hole that has just opened up. And that is because they lost their two backup defensive ends in free agency, and they didn't really replace it with anyone other than in the draft. And as we all know, the draft it's just a toss-up. And they didn't even spend a first-round pick on the defense, so it's really not a guaranteed bet at all. But they lost Dante Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong, their 2 backup defensive ends, in free agency, which would definitely hurt the team. The next weakness for the Cowboys is also a bit of a surprise because, just trends seem to be changing, and that is their offensive line.
Where's the beef?
They lost their left tackle Tyron Smith and their center Tyler Biadasz. I don't exactly know how to say that name, but moving on. They lost those 2 starters who were both good. Now, they weren't great as in today's NFL, but they were both good. And they've lost both of them, so they had to replace both of them. And who did they replace these 2 offensive linemen with? They replaced their center with Brock Hoffman. Now, I know nobody's heard of random centers in the NFL, so I won't expect you to know him, but he is in his 3rd year now, and he has currently started 2 games in the NFL. So, completely a toss-up on this one. And then the other one was their 1st-round pick, Tyler Guyton, who is their left tackle. The last on-the-field weakness for this team is Brandon Cooks as their wide receiver 2.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do you want to lose? I throw, you catch. It's not that hard, okay?
Well, yes, he is a big name. He is also old. He only got about 600 yards last year for the Cowboys, and that's not good enough for a wide receiver 2 in today's NFL. When you have teams like the Eagles with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, you have the Bengals, who currently have Higgins and Jamar Chase, or the Dolphins with Waddle and Hill. There are so many good wide receiver duos, and if you just have one, that's not enough anymore. In fact, Cooks didn't even outperform their tight end last year. So that is another hole on the team. Now, yes, he could get better, but Cooks did have 2 years at about 600 yards in a row, and they didn't draft anybody to really replace him with good draft capital, and they didn't sign anybody in free agency, but of course they didn't sign anybody in free agency. And then finally, their last weakness, and potentially their biggest weakness, it's not really a quantitative weakness, it's more of a qualitative weakness, and that is that they always seem to play bad in the playoffs. I don't know what it is, they just seem to get tight, and they play their worst game in the playoffs. It's happened for decades at this point, and until they prove otherwise, it's going to be a big weakness for the team when you look at the bigger goal of winning the Super Bowl. So while no, I'm not calling out any specific thing, you have to mention it because it's real at this point. There have been too many big letdowns for the team. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Do you agree with these weaknesses or not? Do you think they have even bigger weaknesses? Do you think none of these are big deals? Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. Bye.